Now, summer's here, and I'm sure you have a little garden out there. I'm sure most of you do. And I'm sure you're growing an abundance of basil. And if not, you could always go to the grocery store, and they sell a beautiful plant of basil for $5, and you can make your own pesto. Now, why would you want to make your own pesto when you could buy it? Well, most of the time, the pesto that you do buy has cheese in it, and we are vegan, and we're not going to be able to enjoy that pesto unless you make it yourself. I mean, you might be able to buy some pesto without cheese. You're lucky to find it at a health store, but I have yet to find pesto that doesn't have any animal products in it. So I make it myself. So I just went to prune my basil out in the backyard. It seems to be growing like crazy. So, I mean, this is a little batch I picked up this morning, because otherwise it's going to go, it's going to start seeding on you. And once it starts seeding, the leaves will be a little more bitter, and you don't want that. You want your pesto to be nice and sweet, and you don't want the seeding to start. So by pruning it, you're going to give the plant a chance to bloom out at the bottom. It's going to spread out and widen out, and it'll keep making beautiful basil leaves for you. And as that continues growing in your garden over the summer, you're able to make some pesto for yourself. Now, what I do is I really don't measure anything. What you can use is either a sunflower oil. You can use sunflower, you can use vegetable oil. I know a lot of people don't like using corn oil because it's genetically modified. So I'm just going to use a little bit of sunflower oil to start off with. And like I said, I'm really not measuring anything right now, because I will add it later on to the jar. And we're going to take the most tender part of the basil. I don't put the woody part at the bottom, but this part of the stem here where it's more flexible, I will use it. I'm not going to waste that. The woody part I won't use, because it's just too hard. You could just feel it, that it's very woody on that end. But here's another piece that's nice and soft. I'm not going to waste that. I know a lot of people take just the leaves, but you know what? This has got just as much flavor and nutrients as the leaf itself. So I'm going to put that in. And this one here is a little woody on that end all the way up to here. So I'm just going to keep taking what I can out of it. And here's my tender spot right there. And I'm going to just shove that in and put it in. This is soft. Here we go. So anyhow, just wanted to let you know, yesterday was my birthday. I had such a wonderful, wonderful day with my family. I woke up, and I'm going to show you later because I took a little clip of it. I woke up to my house decorated in balloons thanks to my daughter Erica. She's also known as Vegan Karma on YouTube. She bombarded the house with balloons and the cutest streamers. And then when I went into my workroom in the library, we call it the library because I have a whole wall full of books. We have shelves and it's all books, so it is our library. But that's where I have my computer. And she made the most wonderful piece made out of balloons and paper, and it's almost like a wisteria. It was so beautiful. She basically took my breath away. I couldn't believe she actually did all of that. Couldn't figure out when she did all of it, but she did manage to do that for me, and it was such a nice surprise. Then it got really wet and rainy, and I had that flashback when I turned 30 and I flooded Montreal with my, the day I turned 30, Montreal was flooded completely. But I started to get a flashback of that. And I says, I hope it doesn't rain because I really wanted to enjoy the outdoors with my family. And it turned out to be a beautiful day. Right, so let's go back to the pesto. So here we are. We don't have, I didn't put that much oil in it. And I'll tell you why, because I'm going to just blend this up. And then if I need extra oil, when I put this in my jar, I will do that later. But we do need to put some garlic in there. And that is really up to you. If you want it very garlicky or if you want it not so garlicky. I'm going to put a very large one, and hope I'm in camera. Here I am. I'm going to put a very large clove, and I'm going to put a medium-sized clove. And I'll tell you why I'm not putting more than that is because I'm going to put some of my grated cheese that I make, and that already has garlic in it. So I'm just going to get a knife. Here we go. And I'm just going to give it a fast, just to break out the shell of this garlic. Here we go. So I'm going to put that piece of garlic and this other one, and that's it for garlic. I will put a lot of salt, and I'll tell you why. If you buy it at the store, it's preserved with chemicals, but because we're doing it ourselves, we're going to preserve it with salt. Now, when I say a lot of salt, we're not going to put a lot of salt, but maybe more than you normally would want to put. So I've got maybe about a half teaspoon of salt that I'm going to add to this. And I'm going to take some lime, and I'm going to put the juice of half a lime. Now, how much basil leaves did I use? If you would be buying one of those plants that you usually see at the grocery store, I would say it's about one of those plants. Wherever you do your groceries, I'm sure that they have some kind of basil plant you could buy. And it's usually about that high, and it's already a nice full plant. So I would say a nice bundle of pesto. But then again, it really doesn't matter how much pesto you have. If you have less, well, you put less oil, less garlic, and you blend what you have. But you still need a citrus. And I'll tell you why I use the citrus. It's to keep the leaves that beautiful green color. And I was really, really happy that I had a nice day yesterday because we actually got to enjoy the pool because we finally got our liner put in. Again, it wasn't the liner that I wanted, but we have a liner. It's similar to the one I wanted, but the one I wanted had a border and this one doesn't. I was a little upset, but you know, things happen, and I'm just happy that the pool is able to be used again. So here we go. We're going to use our NutriBullet. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. If you have just a bullet, you can use that. If you have a high power, if you want to use your Vitamix, you can use that. So I'm not going to pull out that big machine to do this little batch, so I'm just going to use my bullet. And that's how easy it is. Now I'm just going to let this fall down, and I'm going to get myself a jar. Okay, so here we go. There really isn't that much, but like I said, I make it as soon as I see a batch. I make, and I'll just keep adding into a jar that I have, or you can use a small jar, or if you have lots, like I know over the winter, if I'm running out of pesto, I go out and I buy myself a big box of basil. It's a little pricey over the winter, but I do use a lot of pesto in my recipes, so I will just buy it. It's still cheaper than when you buy it at the store. So even if I do buy a big box, I'm able to get a lot of jars out of it, and yeah, and it lasts a long time. If you don't open your jars, you keep them in the refrigerator, they last a long time. But for now, I'm going to use a smaller jar just to show you. And I'll get the rest of that later. But I'm going to show you how beautiful this is. There's my pesto. Like I said, if I'm going to make... this is good. Okay, let me just get a spatula. There we go. So really there is no measuring. If you have extra oil and not enough basil, that's still okay, because you can still use just the oil in your pesto. Like if right now you'll see my jar isn't full, I will top it in oil. And I'll tell you why. Number one, it'll keep the pesto from going bad, because oil, believe it or not, is a preservative of some kind. It is a preservative because no air touches the pesto, so it will keep longer. Okay, I'm not going to play with this right now. And now what I'm going to do is get my cheese. Okay, now I usually make a large batch of cheese and I just keep it in the refrigerator. Okay, so here we go. I always make a big batch of this, and I'm going to give you a little link. Now, I do have a couple of recipes, and I'm going to share the link on how I make this cheese. So I'm going to take about a tablespoon, might be even more than a tablespoon, and I'm just going to add it. Let's put a little more. And I'm going to add it right to my pesto. And I'm just going to mix this lightly. I'll just get a chopstick. Those always work the best for me. There we go. And I'm just going to stir it in. And there goes your pesto with vegan cheese in it. And it is so good. I can't even tell you how delicious this really is. So I'm going to link you for the cheese. Put a nice link on how to make my grated cheese. Like I said, I have a couple different recipes. They're all a little different. And now I'm just going to top this up. And I'm going to put as much oil to take me to the top. And I'll tell you why. This oil, believe it or not, will pick up all the flavors of this pesto. And it's just going to get a nice green color to the oil. And not only is it delicious, you could use it, you could just drizzle some oil right onto your pasta if you do eat oil. I know some people don't eat oil. I, for one, put no oil in my food. But my husband does love the oil in his food. And once in a while, I will taste food that has oil. Like if I'm making a pizza, I will take my pesto and I will brush the whole pizza with pesto. And I would layer the pizza with other ingredients, and then if there's that extra oil, I just drizzle some on top, and it makes such a wonderful, beautiful pizza. And as you use this, now if you keep using your pesto and your oil and you see that your pesto is going down in the jar, just take extra oil and just keep topping it off, and make sure that your pesto is always covered with oil. But again, if you don't want to do the oil, like if you don't want to use that much oil when you use your pesto, if you go right down to the bottom, you could actually pick up some pesto with your spoon this way and just drain the oil out, and you have less oil in with your pesto that you're taking. Or if you're okay with using both oil and pesto, that's fine also. But I would say don't use corn oil. Unfortunately, they genetically modify that. But I will use either grapeseed oil, a vegetable oil, or a sunflower oil. I wouldn't use olive oil because it will gel on you. You're going to have like a very white, cloudy top on your pesto. I mean, if you don't mind that, go ahead and use it. But I wouldn't use that. So the cheese is in. If you want to add extra cheese, it's really up to you. Just taste it, and if you like what you taste, then if it's good for you, that's what's important. If you like the taste of extra cheese, you add extra cheese. Okay, so here we are. Like I said, if you want to add some extra cheese, that really is up to you. You could add as much as you want or as little as you want. You don't even have to add the cheese. But if you're used to having that regular pesto that you do get at the store, it does have cheese. So you can either follow my recipe for Parma cheese, or there's a Romano cheese that I also make, and I'll link you those recipes, those links for you, and you can follow those recipes if you'd like. Or you could even buy some cheese at the health store. I'm sure you could get some vegan grated cheese there. And like I said, if you want, just make a big batch, and this lasts for the longest time. I mean, obviously you're going to use it, so it's not going to last as long as you want, but you don't have to worry about this spoiling in the refrigerator. You can make a nice big batch this way. As you use it, you're going to have it for a long time. And this really does last a long time. And the longer it stays in the refrigerator, the more it picks up all the flavors, and it comes out really, really good. So here it is. It's very simple. It doesn't take long to make, and really there is no measurements. What you really do need is some kind of citrus. I use lime because it's not as tangy as the lemon. You do need the salt, you do need the garlic, you do need the oil, you do need the basil itself, and you need lime juice. And like I said, you only need a little bit of this, and this is going to keep those leaves beautiful and green for you. And you top it in oil, and then it goes into your refrigerator, and this is going to stay just as beautiful as the day you made it. And the flavors are amazing. You can use pesto on anything you make. It really is that good. Drizzle it on pizza. You can brush the base of your pizza with pesto. You can make pasta and use pesto. You can make raw pasta and use pesto. It really is good on anything. You could drizzle it on potatoes. It's endless, and it's so fresh and delicious. So I hope you enjoy this recipe, and I'm going to show you a little clip of a video I took of the morning. I woke up on my birthday yesterday with the balloons and everything. It was so exciting. I was so happy to see that. She really made my my morning and my day. My whole family did. We had a great time together, and we really enjoyed it. So I hope you like this recipe, guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you for watching. This is the piece that I enjoy the most. Look how beautiful this piece is, and it goes all the way down to my desk where I work. The best one. I think this is my favorite. These flowers were so beautiful. Look at this. Look at these flowers. And these are all done with cupcake liners. And she hand painted them. All these great, looks like a wisteria hanging balloon arrangement she made me. And my house, if I go along the house, she invaded the house with streamers and balloons. Wasn't this a wonderful gesture? She made me so happy this morning. This is better than any gift you can get, I promise you. Look at that. She is such a sweetheart. She just got up in the middle of the night and she put up all these balloons for me. I am so happy and thankful for my beautiful family. And the best part is, it stopped raining, and my kids are gonna come over and they're gonna be able to jump into the pool. We finally got the liner. So yeah, I just wanted to say hi to everyone, and I'm so grateful for another day of my life and all these little things. That's what's important in life. You want to go see my pool? Let me tell you what I did yesterday. Yesterday I put soap in my pool for my granddaughters. And this morning it looked like whipped cream in the pool. And I still have soap. Look at this. I'm trying to do backwash just to get the soap out. But at least we got to enjoy this yesterday. Could you tell the kids were here? It's a pretty big pool. It doesn't look big, but it's huge. But it's a pool full of suds right now. I went a little crazy. This morning it was like 6 inches of foam sitting on top of the pool. And we got to fix my ladder. Somehow that got messed up, but we will fix it later. That's it, guys. See you soon.